Go ahead, take a look in your wallet. Chances are you've got a couple of plastic cards in there. And we all tell ourselves a little story about them, right? Especially about the debit card. That's the responsible one, the safe one. It feels honest. But what if that whole story is a lie? And not just a little white lie, but a big, dangerous one that could cost you, well, everything. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that comfortable story and find out the truth about the safest and most dangerous card you carry.
So what is this lie? It's simple. It's the belief that the debit card is the good card. I mean, it feels totally different, doesn't it? It's tied directly to the money you actually have, the money you worked for, sitting right there in your bank account. So when you swipe it, you're just spending your own cash. It feels real, solid, safe. But that feeling, it's an illusion. It's a ghost from a financial world that just doesn't exist anymore.
I want you to just let that sink in for a second. What if that sense of security you get when you tap your debit card is nothing more than a mirage, a trick of the light that leaves you totally exposed? Because the one thing that makes the debit card feel so safe, that direct, unbreakable link to your money, is the very same thing that makes it the single most vulnerable piece of plastic in your financial life.
And look, this isn't just my opinion. The data tells a pretty shocking story. A staggering 70%, that's 7 out of every $10 stolen by card fraud, is ripped straight from debit cards. Think about what that means. When a hacker or a thief is looking for an easy score, they aren't trying to fight through the fortresses of the credit card companies. No. They take the path of least resistance. They go straight for the key to your checking account, to your life savings, to your rent money. This isn't some far-off risk. It's right there, in your pocket.
So how on earth did we get here? How did we start believing a lie that the facts so clearly tear apart? Well, to really understand, we have to go back. We're going to start by running into the muro invisible, the invisible wall of the cash-only world. Then we'll find the corazón de la máquina, the heart of the machine that was built to tear that wall down. After that, we'll look into el espejo, the mirror that shows us the two very different cards we have today. And finally, we'll see a nuevo amanecer, a new dawn, and how we can use our wallets to actually protect ourselves.
Our story doesn't start in some high-tech lab or a stuffy bank. Nope, it starts in a restaurant. The year is 1949. The city, New York. And a businessman by the name of Frank McNamara is about to have a very, very bad night. A night so embarrassing, it would literally change how the entire world thinks about money.
Just picture the scene. Frank McNamara is at a place called Meager's Cabin Grill, a popular steakhouse in Manhattan. He's schmoozing clients, closing deals, he's on top of the world. The food's great, the conversation's flowing, and then the check arrives. He confidently reaches into his pocket, and nothing. That ice-cold wave of panic washes over him. He forgot his wallet. In that single horrifying moment, he goes from a big-shot executive to just some guy who can't pay for his dinner. He has to make that humiliating call to his wife to please drive into the city and bail him out with cash.
So as he's sitting there just stewing in embarrassment, he has a realization. The problem wasn't just that he was forgetful. The problem was the whole system. He had just slammed face first into the muro invisible, the invisible wall of living in a cash-only world. Think about it. In that world, your power, your ability to do anything, was limited to the paper bills you physically had on you. Forget your wallet, you're powerless. Want to buy a car? You better show up with a briefcase stuffed with cash. It was clunky, it was inefficient, and honestly, it was holding the entire economy back.
But out of that shame came a spark of genius. McNamara knew that some department stores had these little charge plates for their best customers, but that was like having a key that only opened one single door. He started thinking, what if you could create a universal key, a single card that proved you were good for the money, no matter where you were? Now, he wasn't trying to invent a way for people to borrow, not at all. He was trying to build a system based purely on trust. He was about to build the heart of the machine.
He called it the Diners Club, and its brilliance was in just how simple it was. Basically, it was a club connecting trustworthy people with restaurants. A member could go eat anywhere in the network, and instead of paying, they'd just sign a slip. The restaurant didn't have to worry about a thing. They'd just send all their slips to Diners Club, and poof, they got paid. Then at the end of the month, the member gets one simple bill for everything. It took all the friction, all the hassle out of using cash. Okay, now this is the single most important part of this whole story, so listen close. The one key ingredient of what we think of as credit today was completely missing. There was no debt. Let me say that again. The Diners Club card was not for borrowing money. It was a convenience tool. You had to pay your bill in full every single month. It was a charge card, not a credit card. And so on February 8th, 1950, McNamara went back to the scene of his humiliation, Major's Cabin Grill, had a nice meal, and paid with a little cardboard card. That meal became known as the First Supper, and it was the beginning of the end for the cash-only world.
All right, so how do we get from that little cardboard square to what's in your wallet today? Well, this is El Espejo, the mirror, because the debit and credit cards you're carrying are the direct descendants of that first idea. But somewhere along the way, they evolved into two totally different animals, with two completely opposite ideas about money. One of them still remembers that original lesson, and the other one has forgotten it completely.
Here is the one difference that changes absolutely everything. Your debit card is a key. It's a simple tool that unlocks the vault where you keep all of your money, your savings, your rent money, all of it. Your credit card is not a key. It's a promise. It's a promise made by a huge, powerful bank that says to a store, "Don't worry, we'll pay you. We trust this person to pay us back later." One is a direct pipeline to your entire financial life. The other is a firewall transaction using somebody else's cash.
So let's play this out. Let's say a thief gets your debit card number, maybe from a skimmer at a gas pump or some online data breach. What they have is not just a piece of plastic. They have the key to your vault, and they can walk right in and take everything. And the money they steal is your actual money. It disappears from your account instantly. Suddenly your car payment bounces, your rent check is returned, you're at the grocery store and your card is declined. Your real life grinds to a halt because your real money is just gone.
To understand why that's so catastrophic, you need to know one simple but incredibly powerful word: liability. Okay, here's an easy way to think about it. Imagine your friend accidentally throws a baseball through a neighbor's window. Whoops. Liability is just the rule that decides who has to pay for that broken window. Is it you? Your friend? In the world of finance, liability decides who's on the hook when a thief smashes their way into your account, and the answer is wildly different for these two cards.
And this is where the legal reality gets really scary. So with debit card fraud, we already know your money's gone, instantly. With credit card fraud, your money is completely untouched. But now, liability. This is the big one. With a debit card, if you don't report the fraud right away, you can be on the hook for up to $500. And if you wait more than 60 days, your liability could be unlimited. They could drain every penny, and legally it's your problem. With a credit card, federal law caps your liability at $50, and most banks just waive that. But here's the real kicker: who fights? With debit fraud, it's you fighting your own bank to get your money back. With credit fraud, the bank fights to get their money back. Now who do you think has a better army of lawyers?
And that is the crucial firewall. When a crook uses your credit card number, they are not stealing from you, they're stealing from a massive corporation like Chase or American Express. Your money is perfectly safe. The bank is the one who got robbed. And you better believe a multi-billion-dollar company has armies of investigators whose only job all day long is to hunt that money down. They wipe the charge off your bill and they go to war. With a debit card, you are a victim who has to prove you're innocent. With a credit card, you are the customer the bank has sworn to protect.
Okay, so knowing all that, what do we do? How do we move forward? Well, this is the Nuevo Amanecer, the new dawn. It's about making a mental shift. We need to stop thinking about just spending money and start thinking about strategically protecting it. It's about finally realizing these two cards have very different jobs, and it's time we start using our wallets as a shield, not just an open door.
So let's give the credit card its official job description. Its job is to be your frontline defense in any situation where your data could be exposed. Online shopping, where breaches happen every day, you use the bank's money. Gas stations and restaurants, prime targets for skimming devices, you use the bank's money. For big purchases, you even get extra protections and warranties. And here's a huge bonus. Every time you use it responsibly and pay it off, you're building a history of trustworthiness, the very thing Frank McNamara's original card was all about.
Okay, so what about the debit card? What's its new job? It's simple. It has one job. One. Its only safe, intelligent use is to be a key for an ATM, and preferably an ATM owned by your own bank, to get cash. That's it. It is not a tool for buying things. It's a tool for securely accessing your own cash when you need it.
Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I use my debit card to keep myself from getting into debt. And that right there is the psychological trap. That is the very heart of the great wallet lie. We use a dangerous, unprotected tool because we're afraid of our own habits. But the answer isn't to leave the front door of your house wide open because you're afraid you might lose the key. The answer is to master the discipline that the better tool requires. Treat your credit card just like that original Diners Club card. Pay the balance in full every month. You get all the protection, all the rewards, you build your credit, and you pay not 1 cent in interest. You are using the tool, you're not letting it use you.
When you boil it all down, this isn't really about the plastic at all. It's about two completely different philosophies. The debit card is a philosophy of direct and frankly naive exposure. It's you saying, I'm going to connect my entire life savings to every gas pump, every website, every restaurant terminal in the world. The credit card, when you use it right, is a philosophy of strategic, protected trust. It's you saying, I'm going to use a powerful bank's money as a firewall to protect my own.
And that brings us right back to where we started, back to that embarrassing dinner in 1949. Frank McNamara wasn't trying to invent debt. He was trying to create a buffer, a third party that could stand between the customer and the merchant to absorb risk and make things safer for everybody. The modern credit card system, used correctly, is that buffer. Your debit card, by its very design, it rips that buffer away.
So I'll ask you one last time. Take a look at those cards in your wallet. Now that you know the history, the technology, the legal truth, ask yourself a new question. Is your wallet set up to be a shield to protect everything you've worked for? Or have you, without even realizing it, turned it into your biggest vulnerability? The choice, from here on out, is yours.